Now it's just us, only us. We haven't been to your mom's in a long time. Who called you like that? Who messaged you? We don't need those emotions. I'm leaving. What will others say? What will they think? What should I do with all this? Be honest or what? Absolutely honest and straightforward. Are you ready to show us? You all ready, my friends? Exclusive just for you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Scenes. I'm Nina Tereshchenko, your host. We chat with fascinating people, hear their success stories, and discuss what's often left unsaid. Today, Natalia Denisyeva joins us, a crisis psychologist and founder of the Crisis Psychology Center, Just Live. Many of you already know her. Natalia, what brings us together today? And if you haven't seen it yet, I really encourage you to go and check it out because it's incredibly insightful. We're here today to dive into a very important topic, that of codependency and the childhood psychological trauma that often underlies it. The topic we're discussing is called Mommy, Don't Leave Me. Codependency, a family disease. That's exactly what we named today's episode. We'll dive into what it really means and why codependency is indeed a disease, and as the title suggests, it all traces back to childhood. We all come from childhood, and as I like to say, if you had parents, you're likely to be traumatized. If you didn't, you're still traumatized. That's my professional opinion from years in this field. Natasha, what exactly are codependent relationships and how do they differ from healthy ones? And what exactly are healthy relationships? Codependent relationships happen when one person depends entirely on another's emotions, losing themselves in the process. They try to be good and convenient, adapting constantly, almost dissolving into the other, carrying guilt and shame for their feelings. They live just to be loved, afraid of abandonment. But healthy relationships are different. I'm often asked, what defines a healthy relationship? Healthy relationships are built on love, respect, and support, with people openly sharing feelings instead of hiding them. There's no constant criticism or abuse, and they provide emotional safety. You can say, I'm overwhelmed, or I need support, and receive understanding. Healthy relationships foster trust, growth, and freedom to be yourself without fear of rejection. That's true connection. You could gently say to your partner, hey, can we talk about how we're both feeling? I sometimes feel a bit of pressure from you, and I'm wondering what's really going on. Or maybe, it's been a while since we visited your mom. How about we plan a visit soon? And if you notice your partner looks upset, you might say, you seem a little down lately. Maybe you need some rest or a vacation. I want you to know I'm here to support you. Those little things matter in healthy relationships. It's about seeing and understanding each other truly, not just reacting to our own feelings. Can someone be stuck in a codependent relationship and not even realize it? They might think everything's fine and normal. Is that possible? Absolutely, especially if they grew up seeing codependent relationships around them. Like a mother living with an alcoholic father, enduring constant fights and drama. The child witnesses the mother always trying to save the father, but never sees self-love, respect, or healthy boundaries modeled. So naturally, the child learns dependent behaviors, ends up in relationships with abusive partners, replaying those painful childhood patterns. They don't really know any other way to be healthy. Many clients ask me, Nina, can family life actually be different? If he hits me, does that mean he loves me? How do I stop rescuing? Isn't it a wife's job to care for and support her husband? But this mindset is what they were raised with, like a mother working multiple jobs, completely burnt out, giving everything to her family without receiving support, sometimes raising the child all alone. It's a cycle that's incredibly hard to break, but understanding this gives hope for change. It doesn't help at all. Mom's busy saving everyone else around her. But the big question is, where's the kid in all of this? The kid sees everyone else being saved, but not them. They are nowhere to be found. This can really lead to deep feelings of rejection and even abandonment trauma. The kid ends up feeling unwanted, like they're not important. There's always someone else who gets attention, but never me. And when a kid like this grows up, they spend their life saving everybody else while pushing themselves to the very last place. Let's break it down step by step, shall we? For example, there's a couple. As a psychologist, can you please scan and define the key traits of codependency in a relationship. Then contrast them with what makes a relationship healthy and balanced. Let's explore codependency together. From the very first meeting, it was clear. Now it's just us, only us. You used to be on your own, separate, but now it's only we, always together. We go everywhere side by side, even on vacations. We never part. How could you go anywhere without me? Absolutely no way. Who called you? Who sent you messages? That's not okay, ma'am. Hand over your phone password. This control, this merging. It's always about us. And this is soul to soul, like a deep connection where everything just feels completely aligned. Losing yourself, losing your soul for someone else's sake. So it's just dependence? Yes. But from childhood, this soul to soul thing just gets drilled into us, and you start thinking, well, that's how it's supposed to be. Codependency is truly a family disease. It's about melting away into someone else as a child, believing there's only one true love that lasts for life. Just think about all the songs written about this theme. You broke my soul, I'm with you for life, even to the ends of the earth. People often lose their individuality, become infused and dependent together. In healthy relationships, it's so important that both partners feel comfortable being alone too, having their own personal space and boundaries. This way, a partner can calmly say, I need some time alone, a break, some peace, without it causing fights or accusations like, you don't love me. Those who are codependent tend to sacrifice all the time, always giving for the sake of the relationship, for the family. I've often noticed that couples in codependent relationships rarely keep friends around. They are always together. They really crave those emotional roller coasters, constantly swinging back and forth like waves on the ocean. What exactly is this very popular term in psychology called emotional roller coasters? What does this term actually mean in everyday life? Emotional roller coasters mean someone needs emotions, craves that intense rush, that passion. One day together, the next day apart, emotional waves, constant ups and downs. Why is this? Because a kid growing up in a toxic, unstable family gets used to chaos. Dad might be sober one day, drunk the next, love deeply one day, hurt the next. Stability feels foreign. What they really crave are these highs and lows. In codependent relationships, they get those emotional swings from their partner, which is why it's so hard to walk away. Normal, steady relationships feel dull. Many women say, I get bored with a normal partner. I love bad boys, rebels. I need that fire. They're addicted to emotions. I'll change him, save him, convince him to stop drinking with me. They hold on to the hope of transformation, clinging to the emotional storm that feels familiar and alive. That's the classic pattern. Overwhelming love for the so-called greater good. You love so deeply, it drains your energy, paired with constant suffocating control, dictating every move and emotion in the relationship. So we've been talking about this quite a bit, and it really seems like everything comes back to family and those early childhood experiences. Could you maybe give me a concrete example of how childhood trauma ends up shaping codependent relationships later in adulthood? Here's an example from one of my clients, a very common one. The father drank when she was a kid. The mother worked multiple jobs, holding the family and the child together. At first, the father really tried. Then they made everything easier for him, and he started drinking even more. The mother began rescuing him. The child was almost invisible. She was completely absorbed in the father and would say, endure, we're women, we have to. Marriage is for life. I chose him. When the daughter begged, Mom, leave, I can't take this anymore, the mother chose the father every time. She'd say, he's my husband, can you just leave home? She ran away many times, got sent back, feeling unwanted and invisible. She grew up and chose an abuser like her father, someone dependent she rescued, neglecting her own child. Actually, and when the child came up, looked into her eyes and said, Mom, you don't love me. I'd be better off in an orphanage. Then she started therapy. Her child already said that. Yes, Mom, she said, you don't love me. Send me to the orphanage. And then she started therapy, and she understood that she was replaying the same scenario. There's this concept of transgenerational psychological trauma passed down through generations. She was trapped in it and was passing this scenario to her child, who would act it out too. The child also began running away from home, just like she did as a kid. Can you help me truly understand how exactly certain things form in our minds? Like, if as a kid you mentioned experiencing drinking, neglect, feeling ignored, or being overlooked as a child, why wouldn't that lead someone to decide, I absolutely don't want this for myself, so I will consciously take a different path and not repeat or replay the same patterns my parents went through? When someone hasn't had a healthy pattern growing up, they just don't know any other way. And what else could they do? This is their absolute normal in the family. In a healthy relationship, they actually feel lost. They don't understand how it works, but it also depends on how strong their psyche is and their level of intelligence. The environment around them is super important. If the people around them say this isn't normal, that can help or not. But most often, the environment is the same. So the person chooses codependent behavior models too. I also want to say codependency isn't just in romantic relationships, but also with friends, always rescuing others, forgetting themselves. At work, they have no boundaries. It's hard for them to say no when other people's needs come before their own. And a big red flag is when it's hard for someone to spend money on themselves and they feel guilty about it. They feel shame and guilt when buying something for themselves. It's easier for them to give gifts than to treat their own needs as important. Codependents depend heavily on others' approval, always worrying if they'll be loved or rejected. To feel acceptance, they'll do almost anything, working nonstop and trying to please others. But setting boundaries is very hard. They feel guilt, lose sleep, and often apologize for their feelings, seeing them as selfish. Pattern is deeply rooted in childhood trauma, almost like it's ingrained in them. Changing it is hard. Many don't know a different way is possible, but with awareness and support, change can happen. Come on, admit it honestly. Who among you really saw yourselves in that description just now? If you did, then that actually gives us a great chance to ask an important question. What do you think you can do about this situation you're in? What to do about codependency? Very important question. First, you must realize and admit you're codependent. Can you realize that on your own without a psychologist? Well, if you're into psychology, you can read Women Who Love Too Much. I don't remember the author, but it's online. Also, Moskalenko's Codependence, a Family Disease. I highly recommend Alice Miller's The Drama of the Gifted Child. It shows how childhood trauma affects adult life. When someone sees themselves in this book, they might start to think, but healing codependence on your own? That's basically impossible. Can you fully heal from codependency, or will it always linger a bit, even if you think you've moved past it? I really want to say yes, but honestly, no. You can't fully heal from psychological trauma, just like you can completely shake off dependent behaviors. Why? Because those old patterns and habits don't just disappear. However, you do get better at recognizing them. You'll notice the triggers and pause before falling into the same harmful relationships again. And if you catch yourself starting to repeat the same scenarios, that's when you reach out to a psychologist and work through it carefully. It's a process that takes time and awareness, but it's completely possible to manage and grow beyond those patterns. Do you actually enjoy working with people who are struggling with codependency issues? Be honest, of course. You mean like, what's the right way to handle it properly? Honestly, I'm not really a big fan of working with addiction cases, but somehow they really seem to like me, you know? My codependent clients just keep coming back over and over again. Why don't you like working with them? It's like constant emotional swings, really unstable in therapy. The cycle of idealizing, then devaluing just keeps going. Many aren't ready or motivated enough. They get stuck on this endless roller coaster. I work a lot with codependency, and my clients put in real effort in sessions. If a client leaves, I tell them they can always come back. A key point is that psychologists should resolve their own codependency first, or they risk depending too much on clients' opinions to keep them. This dynamic can be unhealthy both ways. This therapy isn't quick. It can take years, needing patience and real commitment. But you're not your typical psychologist, are you? I guess you use some unique and quite original methods and approaches when you work with codependency issues. So tell me, what actually happens during one of your sessions? How do you guide your clients through their challenges? Should I tell you or just show? If you can show, then please do. All right, show me what you've got. Are you ready to get started? Ready, folks? Bring the rope. Bring the rope. The rope's coming right at me, faster than you think. Toss it over, guys. Look closely. It just dropped from the sky like an unexpected surprise. This is what we call a trigger. A trigger acts like a release mechanism that sparks a reaction inside us. But why do we use triggers in the first place? Well, codependents tend to see themselves as one with another person. It's common for them to feel tied up, almost like they're bound by an invisible rope. Maybe you've seen those powerful images showing two people tied together with the word codependency stamped right on top. Now, I want to demonstrate how the body can actually react to a simple move I make, something subtle yet impactful. I'm already getting jitters. Go ahead, my dear. What do I do? What do I do? Should I just not resist? I'm going to take control over you now, and you'll do exactly whatever I want. So tell me, what do you really want in this moment? Creepy. All good. Do I need to relax or I have no clue what you're supposed to do? Look at what's happening. You ask me, so what? Yeah. What am I supposed to do? That's already a red flag, right? Nina, you asked for it. Come on, let's break it down. Exclusive just for you. When you ask, what am I supposed to do? Codependents don't know what they want. You can say, Natasha, stop. What's this nonsense? Take it away. I'm uncomfortable. You freeze. And I try to be, kind of convenient in the moment. They really love being convenient, to get praise, to hear, good girl, very good girl. I'm pulling here, probably hurts, right? No. Does it hurt? Yeah, it hurts. It's uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. Can you keep going? Like, seriously. Ugh, why? Why is this even happening right now? Endure. All right, let's roll. What happened? What just happened? Dear psychologist colleagues, if you watch this, don't work like that. You have to prepare. Can you tell me exactly what just happened with the rope experiment we did a moment ago? You asked about my methods, right? I use provocative elements, but not like classic provocateurs. Traditional provocative therapy, started by Farrelly, is mostly verbal, lots of talking and challenging. What I do is different. I use a physical trigger, in this case, a rope, that causes a physical and emotional reaction. Did you notice how your body reacted? You froze, you went numb, like everything just shut down for a moment. Yeah, I did. Right. Then I started asking myself, what do I want? The right way, not just what you want. Codependents often know what others want, but they don't know what they want themselves. What's happening to their body, their emotions, their feelings. And they've gotten used to enduring. When I asked you, does it hurt? You said no. But I could tell you were tightening the rope even more. Does it hurt? No, I can handle it. And when I finally snapped the rope, you had already let go. So if we assume that I wasn't just pretending for the sake of the experiment, that was genuinely my real reaction. Does that mean I'm codependent in some way? You've gotten used to certain behaviors over time, especially in codependency, where endurance becomes a key marker. It's really difficult to accurately track what you truly want or feel in the moment because you're so focused on managing others' needs. If we dig deeper into this practice, I sometimes work with a client holding this rope so they can tune into their body signals more clearly and feel empowered to say, stop, don't control me. Codependents often freeze up under stress. It's like when a child is hit or yelled at, experiencing psychological abuse. They resist at first, but the adult strength usually overpowers them. So the child eventually gives up, and not only mentally, but the body surrenders to normally, and the instinct is to fight or flee, like yelling, "Let go of this rope, I don't want this." However, trauma often causes people to freeze instead. They shut down emotionally and physically, suppressing their true reactions and needs. It's that numb feeling you get sometimes. Maybe you have noticed it too when you want to say or do something important, but inside you just freeze up completely. That's the sensation of helplessness and powerlessness. And it almost always points directly to trauma. Here, we specifically work with body reactions. At one moment, there was a freeze response, which can often indicate childhood psychological trauma and, let's say, a tendency toward codependent behavior patterns that are hard to break. But if we take a moment to go back all the way to your childhood, you said your parents drank, were sometimes violent, and didn't always show love. Now, what if your parents didn't drink or hit you, and they seem loving on the surface, but something still felt off inside? How does this codependent pattern even form? Where else could it come from? We can dig deeper into this, Maybe the mom was emotionally cold, distant. Sure, all the needs were met, nice things around, meals on time, a good home environment, but there was never any real connection or warmth. She never asked about your day, never showed genuine interest in your feelings or experiences. What are you truly feeling right now? What do you really want deep inside? Do you actually like what's happening, or is it just enough to get by? Who do you want to be in this life? Often, the child ends up doing everything the mother wants, just to be convenient, just to fit in. Mommy, you do so much for me, don't you? Please don't leave me alone. Mom, I want to stay with you forever. You're such an amazing mom to me. Honestly, you mean the world. I have the best toys, the nicest things, and you never hit me. So I try to be what you need. Just hold me, just show me some love and attention. But here's the thing, mom might be emotionally distant because she probably didn't get enough love when she was little. She's lost, doesn't really know how to give love back. And so the child keeps chasing the love, searching for it in codependent relationships. I'll be good, I'll be easy, just love me, just hug me, and I'm willing to do anything for that. That can happen too. Why these things? Why 9 and not 10? And why a note in your diary about it? Did you manage to prepare your lesson properly? Is this all related to the same issue we're talking about? Yeah, you're not quite enough, sure. Or comparing yourself to others a lot, like Kolya or Olenka did better. Everything's fine, but there's always a but. You did great with a 10 in math. That's really impressive. But then why only a 9 in Russian? What happened there? And oh, what a beautiful suit you have on. You look really nice today. But, you put on a bit of weight. Still, there's always that nagging but. That but really hurts a kid deeply. It makes them feel like they're somehow not good enough, that they're lacking. They keep trying harder, trying to win love and approval by being good, polite, and convenient, hoping that but will just disappear. But somehow the parent's but always remains. What's rejection trauma? I'm out. Where? Where is she going? I'm leaving this broadcast now. That's it. I'm definitely off air. I'm completely done. I'm leaving right away. Don't leave. Why? Oh, really? So when I'm just about to leave, you actually don't want me to go at all? It's a complex issue. Essentially, someone with rejection trauma carries a deep fear of being abandoned or left alone, almost like a panic inside. They desperately plead, "Don't go, please don't leave me." Often, this stems from childhood experiences where a parent was emotionally distant or cold. As a result, the child, now adult, becomes hyper-aware and anxious when they feel neglected. For example, if a message isn't answered promptly, it can trigger intense distress. They compare themselves to others easily, thinking, "Why didn't I get the same attention? He's paying more attention to his mom, or that colleague got praised, but I was ignored." This longing for love and approval affects their personal relationships deeply, leading to overreactions and intense feelings of rejection. It's more than just needing attention. It's a core emotional pain rooted in fear of abandonment, making everyday social interactions very challenging. He feels deeply abandoned, like, "Don't go, don't leave me, don't reject me. I'll be easy to deal with, I promise." People tend to like easy, right? Do you really think they do? But they are easy. They like them, but what about the difficult ones? Any uncomfortable ones? Not really, not all of them, let's say. Often, the person wants to be easygoing, so they're loved, not left, not abandoned. It's really hard for them to express their own opinions or just say no. If they speak openly, others might leave and pick someone who stays quiet instead. They might even cut off contact completely. So they end up choosing to be easy and completely dependent on others' emotions. Almost like saying, "Mommy, please don't leave me. I'll do absolutely anything." This way, they hope to keep the peace and avoid any conflict or rejection. Honestly, listening to you, if we're not talking about really extreme things like physical abuse or something equally severe, it almost feels like some people might think these struggles you're describing are just a normal part of life, something to accept quietly and not really talk about or try to change. You live with that if you want, but I don't want to. I really want to be happy, to earn well and be independent. I want to avoid abusive relationships, to not suffer or live someone else's life. I want to have the right to choose my own path. I deserve healthy, respectful relationships. And if you want to live like that, that's your choice, but I choose differently. By the way, codependency always about abuse? Not always. What I meant earlier is about normal choices. Someone in codependency might not even know what a normal choice is. For them, being in codependent or even abusive relationships feels normal almost every day. It's not always about clear abuse. They often just adjust to fit someone else's needs or expectations, but there's definitely a hint of abuse there. Pressure, constant evaluation, and ongoing criticism. It's not severe or outright violence, but it still wears you down over time. Why is living codependent relationships so hard? Or why do some women leave only to come back later despite everything? Emotional roller coaster. Missing that feeling again. Of course, common behavior patterns come with certain stages. Like in domestic abuse, there's the tension building stage where pressure rises, then a flare-up happens, an abusive act or an argument. Then comes the honeymoon phase. He's all sweet, loving. Or like the boss who, out of guilt, gives you a raise but later yells at you in front of colleagues. That's the honeymoon phase, when the woman forgives and comes back, not leaving. Then tension builds again, abuse happens, honeymoon phase returns. Soon the honeymoon fades, replaced by tension, abuse, tension, abuse. So the woman stays, enduring it. If her mother taught her to endure and she trained her child to endure, then endurance is just the norm. How else would it be? She endures in her body too. She can. Sit in this rope for a very long time, denying herself freedom, the freedom to express and the freedom to live happily. I get it. Codependency really feels like a topic without end because everything you say seems to hit so close to home. I see parts of myself, parents' stories, spousal struggles, and I bet every viewer can recognize their own experiences too. Honestly, we could talk about this forever and never run out of things to say. But tell me, is it truly possible to fully heal from codependent relationships? Or is that kind of healing just out of reach? And when it comes to recognizing healing, how can you actually tell that it's happened? How do you recognize when you're stuck in a codependent relationship? What signs should you look for? Full recovery is quite challenging. For instance, I might keep repeating the same pattern, choosing men who are bad for me. I'm drawn to bad boys, men who end up hurting me, and I just go along with it. I don't say no, don't stop it, and don't leave. It's like being trapped, caught in a cycle. It's up to the person to notice this pattern and consciously avoid falling back into it. Without working through codependency, people often find themselves in abusive situations repeatedly, trying to save everyone, doing good, forgetting their own needs. This cycle is exhausting and hard to break. But what about those people who find it really hard to let anyone in, who don't want to be in relationships at all, and who choose to stay alone for years, sometimes even decades? Is there a specific term or psychological definition for people like that as well? This is counterdependence. People who are counterdependent avoid close emotional bonds. They might date, hang out, or even have intimate relationships. But when things start to feel emotionally close and vulnerable, they tend to pull away and shut down completely. It's a defense mechanism because for them, getting emotionally close is tough, really painful, sometimes even unbearable. Often, this comes from being hurt in childhood or betrayed as adults. So to protect themselves from more pain, betrayal, or disappointment, they close themselves off. That's essentially what counterdependence means. So what do we do about that? With counterdependent clients, they often run from therapy. When emotions come up, when they feel something, when they can be weak with the therapist, cry, be vulnerable. We work through childhood trauma or trauma from adult life. When were you weak? When were you vulnerable? When did you shut down? And we work through that trauma. I also trigger reactions, like with the rope. It was a crisis trigger. We turned it into humor. But please, fellow psychologists, if you watch in this video, don't use this technique with clients and never throw a rope at them. It can trigger strong emotional reactions, even resurfacing trauma through the body. If you feel emotional during this video, be gentle with yourself. Note your feelings and reach out to a psychologist. Old wounds can unexpectedly appear, so don't delay seeking help. This is vital for your well-being. When working with counterdependent people, the main goal is to build trust slowly. These clients often refuse support or love, saying, "I'm on my own," or "I'm strong." But when given a small gift like a toy car, they might suddenly cry. That reaction is their inner child surfacing. These moments unlock vulnerability. I had to become strong just to survive in this tough world. When my parents drank and went home, I was left to fend for myself. This is from a therapy case example. The man learned early on to be strong and independent because for him, being weak wasn't an option. If I'm weak, I can't protect myself, and that means I get hurt. I was weak as a child, and indeed, I got hurt more than once. If I didn't bring food home, my father would say. And my brothers and sisters, I'm the fifth child in the family. They'd sit hungry for the night. That's the harsh reality I grew up with. Whoa! We didn't even have food at home. My parents were drunk most days. I worked after school, took care of my brothers and sisters, literally changed my drunk parents and helped put them to bed so they'd sleep and not cause any trouble. If I didn't go to work after class, our family simply had nothing to eat. Of course, I had to become tough, show no emotions, never be weak, always stay independent and protect myself. I once trusted someone deeply, only to be hurt badly in a relationship. Since then, shutting down emotionally has been my way to handle pain, which is exactly how this counterdependent distance forms. And those phrases like, all men are jerks and all women start with S are from that. Sometimes it's just pain, deep personal hurt. People say things like all men are jerks or all women can be trusted as a way to protect themselves. Maybe one man hurt them badly, so they shut everyone out by assuming the same for all. It's a defense to avoid future pain, but ends up isolating them. This hurt creates the distance and fear of new relationship, leading to shutting down emotionally to avoid being hurt again. Materialistic people only want money. After that, they shut down completely, close off. That's the experience they need to work through. It's about psychological trauma. Once that trauma is processed, they can trust, engage in warm emotional connections, build healthy relationships, communicate constructively with others, and let people in. They can also allow themselves to feel weak and vulnerable in relationships, which is really important. Because that whole I'm strong act, it takes so much endurance and you can't hold up forever. Eventually someone breaks. It's better not to let it get that far. I've been wondering, is there any gender-based statistic on codependency? Like, are men or women more prone to it, generally speaking? You know, that's a really interesting question. But I don't think there's any solid statistics because codependent people don't just come in and say, I'm codependent. They don't tick any boxes or anything. You can, from your personal experience, even looking at your clients, it's probably about the same, but men show a bit more counterdependence. Women often lean toward codependency while men, but this is just from my practical experience, from my hands-on work. Codependency shows up equally in men and women. I believe most of us are either codependent or counterdependent to some degree. So we're back to the idea that no one is truly normal. But can you explain why codependents are often called sufferers? They have this habit of playing the victim all the time. Like they say, oh, poor me, my husband drinks, I work multiple jobs, and my kids don't help at all, but they never actually take any real steps to change their situation. It's like they're getting something out of the software. Maybe they've been conditioned to this since childhood and don't even know any other way to live. They want you to love them, pity them, and feel sorry for them. They see themselves as perpetual sufferers. I can't change anything, I'm stuck suffering, and there's nothing I can do about it. In therapy, I don't let codependents wallow in that state for too long. If they're willing to work, they genuinely work hard. This kind of therapy isn't something that drags on endlessly for years. I don't keep clients for years. At some point, they have to start doing the real work and making real progress. Since we're on the topic of clients, why not share a real success story? I bet most turn out well once they're in your hands. But can you tell us about one memorable case? What really happened there? You know what I always say, it's better to see something once than hear about it 100 times. So I invited her and she agreed to come to you because, Nina, we really adore you. Kind of like in quotes, codependency on you. You're amazing. And my client Marina came today and she's ready to share her whole story. How she managed to escape those codependent relationships, what enormous challenges she faced along the way, what she went through emotionally during that difficult time, and ultimately, how her entire life changed for the better as a result. So, just for a moment here, we're letting Natasha take her break. And while she steps out, we're going to stay here in the studio, eagerly waiting and preparing for our next guest to join us. And you're watching Behind the Scenes, and I'm joined by the wonderful, vibrant Marina. That's me, the healed client of Natalia Denisyeva. Marina, you promised to share your story. How did you first get into therapy and what made you decide to start? Oh, that's an interesting one. About 15 years ago, when I first started therapy, I came with a tough reason. I actually hated my daughter. My mom struggled with self-hate, and as a child, I felt that too. I thought I'd raise my kids differently, but I realized I was feeling the same feelings my mom had toward me. That scared me. So I decided to go to therapy. Not with Natalia. I didn't know her then. That's how it started for me. I think admitting, even to yourself, that you actually hate your own child is incredibly difficult and deeply powerful. How did you come to realize that feeling and what helped you finally allow yourself to admit it honestly and openly? Honestly, I just want my kids to be happy above all else. That's why I made the conscious decision to break all the childhood patterns I grew up with. My childhood, I love my parents very much. They truly are amazing people who did everything they could to raise me well. But we don't actually talk that often. Over time, my mom and I have come to accept each other for who we are. And my dad, well, I call him dad because he raised me from the age of 2, but he's actually my stepdad. When I think about codependency, I have to give him credit for that. Why? Because he was this high-achieving guy with a big job, always perfect and polite, the golden boy everyone admired. But at home, I was the stepdaughter, the third child after 2 daughters from his first marriage. So guess who ended up receiving all the negativity and aggression? Yeah, it was me. Back then, I didn't really understand it, but I clearly remember getting hit. It was a confusing and painful time. But looking back now, I see how those experiences shaped me and why I'm so determined to change the cycle for my own children. Let's just say it was for everything, including physical punishment. Simple stuff like no washing dishes meant going for a walk or being late. What did I grow up with? The idea that beating means loving, no other way they knew to show it. That's codependency, plain and simple. I remember one time when one of my husbands walked in, all macho and confident. I thought, wow, mine. It was a strange mix of fear and attachment I never really understood. And the calm, when a normal, decent, chill guy takes care of you, you're just lost. Like, what do I do with him? No fun. Not interesting at all. Those emotional ups and downs are gone. Gone. So what happens is that your childhood scenario plays out again. You pick a guy who hops on the same emotional roller coaster and starts swinging you. He puts me down, then lifts me back up. That's how codependency starts. Just 6 months ago, he was charming. Flowers, dates, felt like heaven. Any woman would fall for that. Then he realizes he's got me. He has his own issues, like a cold mom, which I understand now. So he withdraws. It feels like I showed you what I can give. Now you have to win me. I wonder if he'll come back. I've done the dishes, cleaned everything. Same in adult life. I chase those emotional swings, chasing love. Honestly, looking at therapy results, it's kind of gross. I know I'm codependent, but I catch myself. Compliments feel great. Being adored is wonderful. But when the pattern breaks, I say adios and pull back. If it gets tough, I have a therapist helping me through. This isn't the same story anymore. This is me right here, right now. Disgusting now when I think about my therapy results. I'm codependent, but I catch myself. Yeah, compliments feel good. Being adored feels great. But once the pattern breaks, I'm like, adios, and stop myself. And if I ever can handle it, I have a therapist to help me through these ups and downs. This isn't my story anymore. This is me right here, right now. So what really happens in relationships? It has to happen, or rather shouldn't, for you to realize and say, stop, I'm not going back there. Devaluation. Codependency is built on this cycle. First, you're either devalued or, on the flip side, praised and then knocked down, right? Like you're nobody and you have to earn someone's approval constantly. But healthy relationships, they're about honest communication. Like saying, I didn't like what you did to me. Then the other person responds, okay, I hear you. I won't do that again. Simple as that. But someone stuck in codependency who tries to boost their own worth by putting down their partner won't really get it. They won't truly hear you and will keep doing things their way. And it's because you're still trying to win over that unresolved parent figure inside you that you keep staying in those relationships. It's almost impossible to break free because it feels like a chemical process, like you're on some kind of dopamine high that keeps pulling you back every time you get knocked down. Dopamine high, that rush, is like you're caught in this cycle. After you're knocked down, that devaluation hits hard. Then comes the apology, the sorry, I won't do it again. And you think, I believe you, I'll save him, save my dad, save the way he loves me. It's complicated. One more thing I've heard from my clients, girls in these relationships love giving gifts to their men. They absolutely love it. It's more than just generosity. It's about proving their worth, earning it somehow. You see, as women, we try to show how we want to be treated. That's a whole other story. Men, it's simple for them. They want to do right by you or he doesn't. There's no middle ground in that. Have you often found yourself stuck in codependency throughout your life? Yes, always. Thank God. The last 2 years I've been living normally. So living normally for the last 2 years, as you say, is it because of therapy? Yeah, that's therapy at work. First, I learned to recognize it. I know what the consequences will be. Plus, my body wants me like shutting down with psychosomatic symptoms. I might get sick if I don't calculate emotionally or mentally for codependency, even shows in work relationships. My body reacts. I might catch a cold. I'm like, wait, what's wrong? I'm diving into therapy head first, fully relying on my therapist to help me piece things together, guide me, support me whenever I need it. Why codependent relationships? Well, it goes back to my childhood, and neither my dad nor my mom gave me the love I genuinely needed. My mom was quite cold, and honestly, even now it's difficult between us. Am I an emotional mom? Not exactly. I tend to express myself through emotions because that's all I really know. I wasn't shown love growing up, so I kept searching for it through my partners, hoping to find what I missed. But nowadays, I don't need to look outside anymore. I have this enormous love inside me. I share it gladly with my clients, my children, and especially my granddaughter. That's more than enough for me. I feel whole now, truly complete, and I no longer have that need to seek love externally. How are things going with your daughter now? Actually, my daughter knows this story well. She worked through it carefully with her therapist. So when we share it, it doesn't send her into trauma or panic like, oh my God, what happened? I tell her this story intentionally so she can bring up her feelings in therapy and work through them at her own pace. My daughter, she's 22 years old and a completely independent woman now, looks at my past codependent relationships and says, no, I'm going to stay where I am right now because I want to maintain my own sense of stability and peace. I think that's totally normal. Why not? Have you ever stopped to really think about what your life might be like right now if you had stayed stuck in those codependent relationships all this time? Have you thought about how different things could have been? Now that I have what I have here and now, going back feels really tough. I wonder, what was I like before I had skilled work to focus on? I worked with many people and those experiences shaped me more than I realized. Poverty. Like, seriously, this is me speaking from experience. Why? Because you're always thinking about whether your partner will call, if he'll give you what you want, if he'll guess it, if he'll act on it. You're focused on someone else, not yourself. So you can't earn more money. Something triggers you, and you're just lying around like a corpse for 3 days thinking, oh my God, he looked at me weird. What do you do with that? You can't grow on your own, can't meet your own needs. You don't have the time for that. All your thoughts are about that person. Someone who basically doesn't really need you. They just want your emotions. How you fall into this rejection trauma and how dependent you become on them. And that's all he or she wants. So you're saying you actually grew financially once you were able to stop all that? You gotta brag a little. Yes, absolutely. I grew financially. And about my codependency, especially at work, I want to talk about that too. Before, if I stepped away for a moment, suddenly everyone needed something urgent. Accounting needed invoices, deals to check, contracts. What? Just have Marina sit beside you. Now I've been working remotely for over 3 years. I manage several companies, have amazing employees, I'm mentoring to my level. I'm great at structuring things as a manager. Everything runs itself. And I don't feel that rejection trauma anymore, the fear of not being in the office. Everything works without me being there. That's codependency too, because the chief accountant always has to be close to the director. Why? Just for peace of mind. What if something happens, freeing myself from that unnecessary codependency gave me the chance to get a second degree? Over the years, I've done a lot of psychology training and built my practice step by step. Now I'm happy to share my experience with clients. They often say, I love working with you, which means a lot. Natalia Denisyeva said the best therapist is one who has healed themselves. I truly understand young women's struggles, not just from theory, but real life. I'm proud of my journey, and that pride motivates me to help others face challenges with hope and strength. And as I usually like to say, we have this incredible chance to reach out to so many women who are watching us right now. What advice would you give to those women currently feeling stuck in codependent relationships, maybe unsure how to break free or where to start? If you feel like something isn't quite right in your relationship or even within yourself, it might seem uncertain, but one thing is absolutely clear. Something definitely is off. My advice is to find a therapist. Everyone has one out there. You just need to find yours. From the moment we're born, girls deserve so much more, a better, fuller life. At my age now, with 3 children and a grandchild, I can honestly say I am truly happy because I don't rely on anyone else. I have myself and I genuinely enjoy my own company, sometimes even too much. Never stop searching, never stop believing in yourself. Find that support system I once found because it helped me grow, and it can do the same for you. Life gets better with that kind of help and care. Exactly. Marina, thanks for joining us again and sharing your insights. Your words are so important, and I hope many watching will take them to heart and find the strength to change their lives for the better. Yes, I'd be really happy about that. Welcome back to Behind the Scenes. We're glad to have Natalia Denisyeva with us once again. Today, we're diving much deeper into understanding codependent relationships, how to really spot them, and even more importantly, how to find your way out. This topic resonates so strongly, and I'm sure what we cover today will really hit home for many of our viewers. If it's all right with you, Natalia, I'd like us to go through a quick checklist together, a kind of fast yet thorough test. Our viewers can mentally check off or cross off each point as we go to help them see whether these might be red flags, signaling it's time to take some action. After that, we'll discuss practical steps on what to do next. So let's get started and take the journey step by step. So let's take a moment to reflect. Check marks or crosses. First up, do you find it really hard to say no and firmly defend your personal boundaries? Second, do you tend to put up with a lot, endure quite a bit, even when it's tough to say, stop, you can't treat me like this? You might think, I'll manage, I'll get through this, and keep tolerating. Third, is there a fear of criticism holding you back? Fourth, do you hesitate to show who you really are, to speak up and say what you're capable of? Fifth, do you often save others, sometimes even at your own expense? Sixth, is it difficult for you to spend money on yourself or prioritize your needs? Seventh, are you tuned into what your husband or child wants, but lost when it comes to your own desires or recognizing when you need something? Eighth, do you find yourself getting caught in certain patterns, feeling stuck or overwhelmed? Let's take a breath before moving forward. You often find yourself caught in abusive relationships, almost like playing the same difficult script repeatedly from one painful relationship to another. You might even say to yourself, I've been through this before, I've tolerated it. It becomes a cycle that's hard to break. Now, let's talk about number 9. It's incredibly tough to be alone with your own thoughts and feelings. Many fear loneliness deeply, feeling uncomfortable when there's just themselves to face. Number 10, the fear of rejection. When someone leaves or ignores you, you might overreact or feel abandoned, even over small things like a delayed reply to a message. And number 11, the strong desire to be liked and accepted by everyone. Wanting to be seen as easy to get along with, to always be right, and to win approval can be exhausting, but it feels necessary to feel loved and valued. Pure love. Number 12, you find yourself constantly running away from who you really are. It's like you can't fully understand yourself, what you truly want, what you're capable of achieving. You seem to know everyone else better than you know yourself. There's a real fear when it comes to looking deep inside and confronting your own feelings, your own truth. And finally, it's incredibly hard to leave an unhealthy or abusive relationship, even when you realize how painful and damaging it is. Despite the hurt, despite the hardship, you stay in those relationships because sometimes the fear of being alone or the hope that things will change keeps you tied there. So, what exactly should you do if you recognize yourself in all of this? Reach out to a psychologist or therapist or start with some helpful books. But also, really look deep inside yourself to understand what's going on beneath the surface. How do you do that? Grab a sheet of paper and a pen and let's do some simple but important exercises together. First, ask yourself, what do I truly want? What do I genuinely like? Think about the simplest things. What food brings you joy? What's your favorite color or a scent that makes you feel good? Next, reflect on what you do for yourself and what you do for others. How do these actions shape your daily life? Then consider your place in your family. Where do you fit in the bigger picture? The third question to ask yourself is, who do I feel might be using me and why do I think that? Finally, in a tough spot or a crisis, who would you reach out to? Who would truly be there for you when you need support the most? These exercises help you connect deeply with yourself and understand your relationship better. Can I reach out to someone for help? Can I truly sort out my life? What will happen to me if I stay stuck in this relationship? Think about abusive relationships. After 1 year, 3, 5, 7, or even 10 years, is there really a future? How do I lose myself bit by bit in such a toxic environment? You start to forget who you are. Then eventually, you'll understand what you truly want. Not what society expects, not what others think, not just trying to please your parents or your partner. Who are you really? You look deep inside your soul and maybe realize, hey, I exist. I have desires. I have the right to want things, to be myself, to live my own life, not just to give myself away to someone else. You deserve love, understanding, and care. And it all starts by recognizing your own worth and reclaiming your identity in the face of abuse. Relationships make you realize you have the right to want. It's been a long time since you allowed yourself to truly want something. Do you remember what food you like or which scents appeal to you? When did you last enjoy a hobby or passion? Or have you been pouring all your energy into caring for others, putting their needs before your own? It's important to pause and ask, where do you fit in your life? Finding these answers is crucial for your well-being and growth. Well, yes, of course, seeing a psychologist is really important for that. Yes, definitely see a psychologist. Like Marina said, it's vital to find a specialist you connect with who truly understands your experience. Importantly, these psychologists should have healed their own rejection and codependency wound. They must have real experience with codependency, crisis states, and childhood trauma, because codependency comes from childhood wounds affecting adulthood. The specialist should work deeply with that trauma, not just teach self-love or mantras. Healing those childhood wounds is essential so the body stops reacting unconsciously, like my response when I throw a rope over someone. The specialist needs to guide authentic healing, helping close those painful childhood chapters. Only then can real recovery and transformation start. Let go of those chains holding you back, those ropes you've clung to for far too long. Tell yourself firmly and kindly, I have the right to live freely and joyfully. I won't carry this heavy burden or suffer silently anymore. Recognize the incredible strength it takes to say that out loud. It's a truly powerful and uplifting thought that can change everything. Now, after hearing this, what about you? What would you like to share or express? No. All right, I won't. No, say no to me. No, Natasha. No, Natasha. I won't. Don't tie me up here. No, you said it in a way that made me feel like no, wait, there. That's a little better now, isn't it? I won't. Well, dear viewers, this was Behind the Scenes. Today, we had the pleasure of hosting Natalia Denisyeva, a crisis psychologist. We explored codependency and why it's called a family illness. I think we gained valuable insights in our discussion. Yes, I want to add that I'm the head of the Crisis Psychology Center in Minsk called Just Life. You can reach out to our center where specialists work specifically on codependency and childhood trauma. I don't want to end, but time and boundaries. We need to keep your boundaries and Nina's boundaries. I could talk for hours. So shall we wrap up in the usual way? Oh, I already have a wonderful co-host right here with me. Training. Let's sing a song. We're waiting patiently for the lovely Marina to join us. Marina is going to sing on her knees, and I'll gently rock her as she sings. Meanwhile, the girls are standing off to the side, nervously fiddling with their handkerchiefs, a bit shy and unsure. You see, statistically, there are 9 boys for every 10 girls here. And out of those boys, 7 simply aren't interested. It's quite a challenge for the girls, but we'll enjoy the song together regardless. Hold on, bye.